What's happening, Nerd Squad, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host for today, Taylor McWatters, and with WandaVision ending, fans got to see the ultimate witch off. But when it comes to DC Comics, are there any witches over there? Are they similar? Are they stronger? Well, they're pretty awesome, and a good amount of them are actually pretty terrifying. So without further ado, here are the top 10 most powerful witches in DC Comics. Let's dive in. Kicking off the list at number 10, KINETIX. She's a fortune teller with mystical powers. Madame Zodiac made her first appearance in Batman Family issue 17. She began her criminal career by helping out Poison Ivy and Catwoman escape from Huntress and Batgirl. And at that point, she convinced them to rob a museum, which is great, always a cool place to rob. It was part of her master plan so she could use them to obtain a valuable item for herself. And then she straight up vanished, so everybody was pretty concerned after that point. They're all just standing there looking down at some sparkles like, this witch is Zoe Sagan, and her mother Azra was an archaeologist, and growing up, Zoe and her brother Thanot would follow her around the galaxy while she did her job. Now, during these expeditions, her mother inhaled poison gas, which started to attack her lungs. Not good at all. So her mother wasn't going to survive. So Zoe searched through her books and found this artifact that her mother had found, the Moon of Coal, which apparently could turn a drop of love into a wellspring of health. Yummy. So that was the artifact that she got, and soon after, she became obsessed with collecting more magical artifacts, of course. You find one of them, you're like, oh, let's find all of them. This is amazing. Can one charge my phone in 2 seconds? Let's find that one. She once encountered an energy pool on Saturn's moon Titan, which gave her telekinetic abilities. So she mainly goes by the alias KINETIX. And before we go to number 9, if you guys want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up on this video because it does help us out quite a bit. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching. Now back to some more witches. Number 9, the Mad Mod Witch. Also referred to as Fashion Thing, and no, it's not Ben Grimm wearing a polo. The Fashion Thing is a denizen of the dreaming. The dreaming is a reality that exists as long as creatures and humans, whatever the case, have the ability to dream. So it's always gonna exist, basically. The witch made her first appearance in the unexpected issue 108. She is the personification of style and design. I mean, her first appearance alone, hello, she's showing off the fishnet stockings. She's super pumped to see what her cauldron will brew up. Electric cauldron, that is, you know, because she's a mod witch and all. And she brews up tales of the unexpected to anybody who's willing to listen. And she's pretty cool. She actually has been referred to as the Mad Madonna Witch, and in 1988 she started to refer to herself as the Mad Yuppie Witch. So when it comes to witches, I mean, she's pretty badass, you gotta admit. Number 8, Queen of Fables. Making her first debut in JLA issue 47, the Queen of Fables is pretty interesting. So once upon a time, she ruled until Princess Snow White, yep, Snow White, you heard me, came along and trapped her in the Book of Fables. Snow White used the book to turn fact into fiction, and Bob's your uncle. And then of course, many years down the road, she was released. And now it's a horror film. This poor mother reads a book to her young son, and as she's reading it, she realizes that it's not for the faint of heart. So she gets out, and now she's looking for revenge. She's escaped out of the book. It's terrifying. She did this by turning Manhattan into an enchanted forest full of folktale creatures. That's a nightmare scenario. What makes the Queen of Fables so interesting, at least to me, is that she doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction. She treats everything like it's a fairy tale. So if you have any theater school friends, they're kind of like that, only, you know, with powers, so a little bit worse. A little bit. So one of the only things that can hurt her is Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, of course because it snaps her out of it. Number 7, Laura Neilson. The Silver Sorceress made her debut in Justice League of America issue 87. Described as having hex power, she's able to completely control it. Now, she comes from the world Angor, not alone however. She was accompanied by Blue Jay and Wandjina, and they were the only survivors of a nuclear fallout. So they came to fight the Justice League actually until both teams realized that the true enemy and the reason behind the destruction of Laura's homeworld were robots that manipulated both teams. Probably Dyson robots. Those Dyson products are nuts. Have you seen those things? They just clean your house. You're not even home. They'll just clean all your shit. The Silver Sorceress and Blue Jay both ended up joining the European branch of the Justice League International until Silver Sorceress got an arrow to the stomach, and before she went out like a hero, she managed to entrap Dreamslayer. Number 6, Witchfire. Rebecca Carstairs was of course a witch, but she was also a pop star. This one's interesting, okay. So Rebecca made her debut in JLA issue 61, and she's known as a famous singer. She's known as a famous model, an actress, and of course, most importantly, a witch. Talk about a combo, oh my god, she's gonna get an EGOT. probably very soon. So after a chance encounter, she found herself working alongside Wonder Woman. So she decided the hashtag superhero life was a pretty sweet gig after all. So she joined the superhero team, the Power Company, in order to raise her Q rating. Pyrokinesis, magic, singing. I mean, way to set the bar high, Rebecca, damn. Number 5, Madame XANADU. She made her first debut in Doorway to Nightmare issue 1 back in 1978. Nimue in Voodoo once cast a spell on Merlin, the magician himself, which is not the best idea, because what he did was he then took her magic away from her. Now, she is a descendant from gypsies, so she ran a fortune-telling parlor, and she tried to help those who were troubled with the supernatural. She actually gained immortality by beating death in a game of cards. And no, that game was not Uno, because death would always win that game. I'm death. She's so interesting because she uses tarot cards to interpret what she senses, which is like, I know 7 people who do that, but she's like the real deal, so it's like, okay. She can levitate herself or other objects, real Matilda style, and she also doesn't need a broom or an Uber because she can easily teleport herself. Number 4, ZATANNA ZATARA. Making her first debut in Hawkman issue 4, ZATANNA ZATARA is the daughter of a magician, Giovanni ZATARA, and Cindella, who was a member of the Homo Magi race. Now, she was raised in New York by her father, quite close to the Arkham Asylum, which is perfect for those trick-or-treating times, you know? I don't know why I did this for trick-or-treating, apparently I do it online. ZATANNA thought her mother had passed away after her birth, but in actuality, Cindella faked her death to return to her people. See, the thing that makes ZATANNA unique right off the bat, besides what I just said, is that she's a direct descendant of Leonardo da Vinci, and she's related to Nostradamus. So not too shabby for the family tree. ZATANNA grew up to become a successful stage illusionist before she discovered her powers. So she's already an OG. She's a Homo Magi, which I mentioned earlier, so maybe she was born with it. Maybe it wasn't Maybelline after all. She casts spells by speaking keywords backwards. Like saying pots, for example, would get her target to stop. Now imagine if she looked at a race car and was like, race car. It would just remain the same. See, I'm smart. Number 3, Raven. Rachel Roth, aka Raven, is of course a key member of the Teen Titans. She's a tele-empathetic, she can teleport and send her soul self out to the battle. We see this for the first time in DC Comics Presents issue 26. So during this, her soul can fight physically. It can create a force field and act as her eyes and ears. She can just float into the cinema and watch a movie while being at home, just eating on some noodles. What a dream. She was born into it. Her mother was Angela Roth, a human, and her father was the demon overlord emperor, Trigon. So, not a human. Her mother retreated to an alternate dimension where Raven was born and raised in that dimension called Azeroth. She initially went to the Justice League after learning that Trigon was returning, but ZATANNA sensed her demonic parentage and was like, maybe join another team. Sorry, spooky girl. Hard pass this time. Number 2, Enchantress. AKA June Moon, she made her first debut in Strange Adventures issue 187 back in 1966, where right at the top it says, meet the switcheroo witcheroo, the Enchantress. She's a member of the Suicide Squad and her origins are pretty tragic. June Moon was a freelance artist who was dating this guy named Alan Dell. Dell invited her out one evening to a party at the haunted Terror Castle, which, yeah, sounds like a pretty good time for sure, but while she was there she fell into a chamber with this being named Zamor who granted her witch powers. So now every time she says the name Enchantress, she changes into a green-eyed, powerful, well, Enchantress. So Zamor got her to eliminate this evil presence from the castle, and Alan saw this and was super into her. I mean, you had a party at a haunted castle. I mean, this is right up his alley, for sure. She didn't tell them that she was also June Moon. So she would save this for later on, and then every now and then, just like a few issues later, June, I mean the Enchantress, saved Dell from an underground monster. What a sweetheart. But the only downside was whenever June used those Enchantress abilities and created magic too quickly, her personality became volatile and evil, which explains how she dips into the villain role, you see? And finally, number 1, CIRCE. Not from Game of Thrones. Making her first debut in Wonder Woman Volume 2, Issue 17, Wonder Woman can sense something on a nearby island. So she says there's something strange there. She can just feel it. It's in her soul. It's beckoning her. Something is watching her. Something is reaching. Something is making her feel cold. What is it? And then at the turn of a page, readers watch in horror as Diana falls and she starts to become extremely cold. So while the crew's trying to figure out how to help, we see the eyes of the witch herself muttering the words, "Let that be your first warning, Amazon. CIRCE is an ancient immortal sorceress who's actually known as one of the most powerful sorcerers on Earth. With limitless magical power, she's able to tap into the forces of the universe and manipulate them herself. She's able to alter the forms of mortal beings, so she can turn you into an animal if she felt like it. Being the daughter of Hyperion and Perseus, I mean, she's also immortal, so that's fun. Awesome. Well guys, which of these witches from the DC universe are your favorites? Honestly, the Queen of Fables doesn't sound half that bad. We could use some more magical forests instead of, you know, skyscrapers. I'm here for it. Guys, I've been your host, Taylor McWatters. Thanks for tuning in to Top 10 Nerd, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.